Today, I want to talk about a skill almost all of us use every day, but very few people were ever actually taught. How to search for information online. Most people think the biggest problem on the internet is misinformation. And yes, misinformation is real. But often the real problem is simpler than that. Most of us were never taught how to search for information well. We open a search engine, type a few words, and assume the results we see are somehow sorted by accuracy. But that's not actually how the system works. And if we don't understand that, we end up trusting the process more than we should. Searching well isn't about intelligence, it's about understanding how information moves online. And once you understand that, the entire process becomes much easier. In this episode, we're going to walk through a few simple ideas that can dramatically improve how you find reliable information. We'll look at how search engines actually rank results, how to read a results page more carefully, how to search with precision instead of chasing whatever shows up first, and how to trace where claims actually come from. Because once you understand the system you're working inside, you don't have to guess anymore.
From anyone, we stand American together.
One of the biggest misunderstandings people have about search engines is this. They assume search results are ranked by truth, but search engines don't actually rank results based on whether something is true. They rank results based on signals like relevance to your search terms, how often a page is linked or visited, how recently it was updated, and various indicators of authority, like whether other reputable sites link to it or whether it comes from a well-known organization or publication. Those signals help the system guess which page is most likely to satisfy your search. But that's a very different question than which page is the most accurate. This means something important. The first result you see is not automatically the most reliable source. It's simply the result the algorithm believes is most likely to match your query. And that distinction changes how we should approach searching. Because suddenly the problem isn't that people are bad researchers. The problem is that most people were never taught how the system actually ranks information. So we assume the results are telling us what's true, when really the system is just predicting what we are looking for. And that leads to a very common trap. When the first search result confirms what we already think, it feels like verification, but sometimes it's just confirmation of what we already believed, whether our belief's actually accurate or not. Truth check. Once we understand that difference, we can start searching much more intentionally. Most people think searching online begins with typing better words, but a lot of the skill actually comes after the search, in how you read the results page. Because not everything on that page is the same type of result. When you search for something, the results are usually divided into a few different categories. First, there are ads. These are paid placements. Organizations can pay to appear near the top of search results. They're usually labeled with a small word like ad or sponsored. That doesn't automatically mean the information is unreliable. But it does mean the placement was purchased, not earned through relevance alone. Below that, you'll often see something called a featured snippet. This is the short answer box that sometimes appears at the top of a page. It's designed to quickly answer a question, but that snippet is still pulling information from a specific source, usually a website article or a company that created that content. And that source may have its own goals, audience, or perspective, which means the real question isn't just what the snippet says, it's where that information came from. And below that, you'll see what are called organic search results. These are the links that the algorithm ranked based on its signals, relevance, authority, popularity, and other factors. But again, those signals are not the same thing as truth. It's making a guess about what people searching for those words might want to see, not necessarily what is most accurate or complete. So instead of asking which result came first, a more useful question is, who published this and why? Search engines organize information. They do not verify it. Truth check. Once you start reading search pages this way, something interesting happens. Instead of clicking the first result automatically, you begin scanning the page more strategically. You start noticing patterns, even before you click on anything. Which outlets are covering the same story, which types of sources keep appearing, like news organizations, blogs, or company websites, and which results seem to be repeating the same information across different sites. And that shift from reacting to results to reading the page intentionally is where good searching really begins. Once you understand how search engines organize results, the next step is learning how your words shape what you see. Because one of the biggest reasons people struggle to find reliable information online is surprisingly simple. Most searches are too vague or emotionally framed without us even realizing it. Let me show you exactly what that looks like. When I start typing, "Is Social Security," before I even finish the sentence, look at what appears. You can see suggestions like, is Social Security going away? Is Social Security taxable? Is Social Security income taxable? Those suggestions are not random. They're based on what other people are searching, what's trending, and what keeps people clicking. So before I even hit enter, the direction of the question is already being shaped. And notice something important. The suggestions that rise to the top, going away, taxable in 2025, those are high interest, often emotionally loaded versions of the topic, not necessarily the clearest ones. So now let's actually run the search. Is Social Security going away? And I want you to look closely at what shows up on this screen. At the very top, you'll see something labeled AI Overview. This is similar to the featured snippet we talked about earlier, but instead of pulling from a single source, it's pulling together information from multiple sources into one summary. In this case, it says Social Security is not going away, but it faces significant funding shortfalls. It even mentions projections about future benefit reductions. So right away, you're getting a summarized answer built from multiple sources. Now look just below that. You see a link from the Social Security Administration, the future financial status of the Social Security program. Then a People Always Ask section with questions like, are they going to stop Social Security? What happens when Social Security runs out? And as you scroll, you see an AARP article, a CNBC article, a Reddit discussion, a post from the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget. Now step back and notice the pattern. Going away, run out, insolvency, gone by 2034. The language across the page echoes the way the question was asked. Not because every source is saying the exact same thing, but because the search itself was framed in a dramatic way. So the system surfaces content that matches that framing. When we search with urgency or fear, we often get results that reflect that urgency or fear back to us. Truth check. Now watch what happens when we change the wording slightly. Future of Social Security funding. Same topic, different framing. Now look at what shows up. At the top, the AI overview is referencing data from the Social Security Administration about projected trust fund timelines. Right below that, you see a direct link to the Social Security Administration report. Then CNBC, Urban Institute, JP Morgan, Center on Budget and Policy Priorities. Now notice the difference. We're no longer seeing just one emotional angle. We're seeing government data, financial analysis, policy research, and different interpretations of the same issue because the question shifted from a reaction to a topic. Now let's take it one step further. How is Social Security funded, United States? Now we're not asking what might happen, we're asking how it works. And look at what appears. At the top, the AI overview explains that Social Security is funded through payroll taxes, including FICA contributions. Then, right below that, a page from the Social Security Administration. How is Social Security financed? Then Peter G. Peterson Foundation Tax Policy Center, and even Wikipedia with a structured overview. Now the results look completely different. Instead of reactions, you're seeing explanations. Instead of headlines, you're seeing how the system actually works. When we don't understand something, we often search for answers that match our fear instead of explanations that build understanding. Truth check. And this is the key idea. The search engine didn't change. The topic didn't change. The wording changed. And that changed the results. So once you see this pattern, the next question becomes, how do we actually use this? How do we search in a way that helps us understand what's really going on, not just react to what shows up? Once you get comfortable searching with more precision, there's one more skill that dramatically improves how you evaluate information online: learning how to trace a claim back to its original source. A social media post may summarize an article. That article may summarize another report, and that report may be referencing something else entirely. We actually talked about a post like this in another video. Not to analyze it here, just to remind you, these are real. They're not rare. They show up in our feeds every day. But here's the part we don't always think about. A social media post may be summarizing an article. That article may be summarizing a report, and that report may be referencing something else entirely. So by the time it reaches you, you're not seeing the original information. You're seeing it filtered, condensed, interpreted. And every step in that chain adds the chance for something to be left out, misunderstood, or reshaped. So when you start searching and every result you find leads back to the same summary, not the original source, that's worth noticing, because it may mean you're not verifying the information. You're just seeing the same version repeated in multiple places. And repetition can feel like confirmation even when it's not. We've all done this. If we see something in enough places, it starts to feel true, even if all those places trace back to the same source. Truth check. So before we decide something is accurate, we want to ask a better question. Am I seeing the original or just the echo? Another simple habit that makes searching online much more reliable is learning to compare reporting instead of trusting the first link you see. Most people open one article, read it, and assume they now understand the situation. But one article is only one version of the story. A much stronger habit is opening multiple sources and comparing them. And this part might sound like a lot, but practically speaking, it's actually really simple. When you're looking at results, just open a few of them in separate tabs. On a computer, you can right-click and open a link in a new tab. On your phone, you can press and hold the link and do the same thing. So now, instead of trying to remember everything, you can just flip back and forth between them. You might have one tab with a news article, another with an official source, and maybe another explaining the topic more generally. And that's where the clarity starts to build, because you're not relying on one version. you're comparing patterns. It only takes a minute and it changes how clearly the picture comes into focus. For example, when you're looking at several articles about the same event, start noticing a few simple things. How is the story being worded? What evidence is being included? And what details show up across multiple sources? When different outlets, especially outlets that speak to different audiences, repeat the same core facts, that's usually a strong signal those parts of the story are stable. The wording may change, the emphasis may change, but the underlying information often overlaps, and that overlap is extremely valuable because instead of asking, which outlet do I trust completely, you're asking a much better question. What information holds up when I compare multiple sources? That shift may seem small, but it moves you from depending on a single perspective to building a clearer picture from several perspectives. And once you start comparing information like this, you're not just taking information in anymore. Something starts to shift. There's a big difference between passively consuming information and actively verifying it. That difference changes everything. At some point, this stops being about Google. It's about how information actually works. The real skill isn't just knowing what to type into a search bar. It's learning how to follow information. Once you understand how to search with precision, trace a claim back to its source, and compare how different sources are presenting it, you stop asking, can I trust this? And you start asking, where did this come from and how did it get here? That shift matters. You move from reacting to information to understanding it, from feeling overwhelmed by what you're seeing to being able to step back and evaluate it. And the goal isn't to become suspicious of everything you see online. It's to become comfortable tracing information until it makes sense. You know, learning how to search better is helpful, but that's not really the shift. The shift happens when you start asking, where did this come from? Because once you start doing that, something changes. You slow down, you get a little more curious, and over time, you're not just reacting to information anymore. You're thinking through it. When you search for information online, do you usually click the first result, or do you tend to open a few different sources before deciding what to trust? I'd love to hear what you usually do. Share your approach in the comments. This week, the next time you look something up, don't stop at the first answer. Open one more tab, check one more source, and see if the information holds up. Because that small step is what turns searching into understanding. This channel isn't about censoring or forcing people to agree. It's about slowing down long enough to really listen, understand different perspectives, and approach discussions with thoughtful reflection together. I welcome different views, I really do, but respect matters here. If you disagree, explain why. If you see it differently, share your perspective. Here, our differences are strengths, and they're starting points for deeper understanding, not weapons. And if you'd like a little extra help shaping your reply, I've linked my 3 Ps in Action comment edition in the description. It's the same process I use myself to pause, pinpoint truth, and proceed with purposeful forethought. Don't worry about reading all this here. The full list of sources is in the description and on my site, american-together.com. I share them because checking sources matters just as much as checking headlines. Because that small step, checking just one more source, adds up over time. The goal isn't to become an expert at searching. It's to become someone who doesn't stop at the first answer. Hit the thumbs up, share it with a friend, and join the conversation in the comments. Together, we're not just watching, we're building something. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. Remember, pause, pinpoint truth, Proceed with purposeful forethought. Join the conversation. See you next time.